What's up, YouTube? I'm about to react to Planet Dolan, the 15 longest prison sentences ever. So you know what they say: you do the crime, you do the time. Face ass. All right, let's get started.
Planet
The link to
Dolan.
this video will be down in the description below. So don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff.
Technically, people in prison can only stay in prison for so long, but still, who got over 100,000 years without actually
Hell
injuring
no.
anyone? Who was sentenced to
They need to
5,000
stop at
years
like
per count?
150.
These are the 15
Cause
longest
100,000
prison
is
sentences
way
ever.
too many years. Ain't
I'm
no one
Bruno
gonna
the
say
One,
that time.
and today I'll be your narrator. Number 15.
Terry Nichols. Terry Nichols, the accomplice of the infamous Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh, holds the record for most life sentences given to a single person. Nichols is currently serving 161 life sentences,
Hell no.
one for each count of first-degree murder.
Number 14.
Martin
Bros out
Bryant,
here crazy
the
as fuck,
perpetrator
bro.
of
This
the
don't
Port
make no
Arthur
sense.
massacre, the worst mass shooting in Australian history, killed 35 people and injured 23 others in cold blood, leading to one of the most extreme national gun reforms in the world. For his shooting spree, Bryant was sentenced to 35 life sentences, one for each person he killed.
Golly.
However, he
But,
was
like, what's the
also
point of
sentenced
all
for
these
wounding
life sentences,
23,
though?
shooting
If
14
you can only
others,
serve
4 counts of
one
stealing
life
a
'cause
motor
you live
vehicle,
one life,
3 for arson,
technically,
and
I
a
guess.
kidnapping. For those, he was given another
I guess for like
1,035
a
years in
statement or
prison.
something.
Number 13.
Charles Scott Robinson. The jury took
Oh,
all of
shoot.
35 minutes to
I don't know where
deliberate
that
the
man
guilt
looking.
of Charles Robinson, who was convicted of 6 disturbing counts of sexual assault on a 3-year-old girl, including rape by instrumentation and forceful
Oh,
oral
bro.
sodomy.
I
However,
can't even
due
make
to
no jokes.
Oklahoma's
Like, this is
sentencing
too
laws,
serious.
the court could not technically give Robinson life without parole. So they did the next best thing. They gave him 5,000 years for each count, for a total of 30,000 years in prison. Ooh,
Golly,
take
bro.
that.
Number 12.
Alan Wayne
Like
McLaurin
30,000
and
was
Darren
the point.
Benelford Anderson. When these two were tried in 1993 for multiple counts of rape, kidnapping, assault,
Come on,
robbery,
bro.
and larceny, they were given a combined 6,475 years in prison. That was, at the
Man.
time, the harshest sentence ever handed down in their county. That was until 3 years later, they were appealing the ruling, only to be reconvicted and resentenced to a combined 32,500
Fool, they
years.
gave them folks
That's the
more
most jail
years.
time ever added as a
Like, what
result
was
of
the
an
point of
appeal.
that?
They later got 500 years knocked off those sentences.
What's the
for
point of
some
getting
reason.
500 years knocked off?
Number 11.
Gary Ridgway, the man known as the Green River Killer, was a notorious serial killer who, between 1982 and 1998, was responsible for killing 71 prostitutes, and those are the
Bro.
only ones he admitted to. He was given 49 life sentences on top of 480 years in prison. For some reason, only 48 of those life sentences are without parole.
Number 10.
The 2004 Madrid train bombers. Jamal Zugam was one of the primary perpetrators of the 2004 Madrid train bombings, the deadliest terrorist attack ever in the history of Spain. 192 people were killed, and Zugam was sentenced to 42,922 years in prison. Othman El Ganoui received a sentence 2
I'm still
years
trying to
longer,
figure out what's
while
the
the
point
accomplice
of
that
serving
provided
this-
the explosives received
Giving
over
out these years past
34,000
150 to
years.
me.
However, due to Spanish sentencing
no one gonna
laws,
live
the
past
maximum
150 to me.
sentence any of them can serve is 40 years.
Number 9.
Billy Joe Godfrey. Between 1995 and 1999, this guy sexually abused 2 children when they were between the ages of 8 and 13, hundreds of times. And for
Oh
more than
my
a
God.
decade, he got away with it. When the victims became adults, they spoke out against
you
him,
get the
and
same two
Godfrey
people for
confessed.
hundreds of
He is
times,
now
though?
serving 35
Like, you must have
consecutive
kept
life
them in your house or
sentences.
something.
Number 8.
Charles Fossard. If I tell you that Charles Fossard served just under 71 years in prison, that may not sound like much, surrounded by people with multiple life
Probably
sentences
died.
and thousands of years in prison. But Fossard actually spent that time in prison. He was arrested in 1903 for murdering a man for his boots and remained
For
in
boots?
prison until his death in 1974. It's the longest
Told
anyone
you.
has ever spent serving a sentence.
Number 7.
Henry Parrott. The Spanish separatist group ETA has been responsible for a number of terrorist attacks since its formation in 1959, including the Zaragoza barracks bombing in 1987, which killed 11 people. Henry Parrott was one of those implicated in those attacks and was given a 4,797-year sentence for 26 murders and 166 attempted murders over a 13-year
How folks be
span.
killing like this?
Number
fool?
6.
Bobby Joe Long.
I know some
33
folks,
life
they
sentences
can't
is
even
a
get a
lot.
kill
That's
in
what Bobby
COD,
Joe Long got
in
for
Call of
raping
Duty,
more
so-
than 50 women and killing more than 25. It was such a long sentence. So Long decided to appeal that ruling, and sure enough, he got it reduced to 28 life sentences, but he was also sentenced to the death penalty.
When it gets to that point, what's the point of appealing?
I guess Bobby Joe Long wasn't going to have a long life.
Number 5.
One of the most brutal military massacres in modern history happened in 1982 in Don Eres, Guatemala. Over 200 civilians, improperly accused of being rebel sympathizers by the militant government, were rounded up and executed in one night, including small children who had their heads bashed against trees to save ammunition. It wasn't until nearly 30 years later that 5 soldiers involved in the massacre were sentenced to 6,060 years in prison each.
Number 4.
Moses Sithole. This South African serial killer committed most of what locals call the ABC murders. He was convicted of 40 counts of rape, 38 murders, and 6 robberies. His sentence is for 2,410 years, but if he can make it to 930 years, he has the possibility of parole. If he can make it that far.
These folks real deal gave him parole.
Paul Gaydell. In 1911, Paul Gaydell was 17 years old and working at a bellhop at an upscale hotel in New York. After killing a wealthy guest of the hotel, he went to jail. But then, more than 68 years later, something happened. He was released. He was actually paroled in 1974, but stayed by choice for 6 more years for fear he wouldn't make it on the outside.
What?
In 1980, he was released at age 86 and lived 7 more years before dying in a nursing home at age 93.
Number 2.
Chamoy Tiaso.
That's crazy.
Believe it or not, on this list of murderers and rapists, the 2 longest sentences belong to people who never harmed their soul. Physically anyways. Chamoy Tiaso didn't kill anybody. She just ripped off half of Thailand. The wife of a high-ranking military official. Tiaso enacted an elaborate pyramid scheme that defrauded over 16,000 people to the tune of about $204 million US. They sentenced her for each individual victim, which brought her total term up
it's
to,
on rap. You hear
drum
me?
roll,
You hear me? It's
please,
on rap. Don't let her get your
141,078 years, except that under Thai law, the maximum sentence can be served for fraud is 20 years, and she actually only served 8.
Number 1.
Gabriel March Granados.
Jesus gonna be back.
You know how sometimes you just get tired of your job? Yeah, Gabriel March Granados is right there with you. In 1972, this Spanish mailman just stopped delivering mail. He kept 42,784 letters, stealing the contents of over 35,000 of them.
You hear me?
Upon his conviction, the prosecutor recommended a maximum sentence of about 9 years per letter, which set his sentence at 384,912 years. However, the actual sentence he served was 14 years and 2 months in prison and the fine of 9,000 pesitas.
Duties.
Okay, so which one of these sentences is the craziest to you? Leave us your thoughts and we'll pin our favorite. Well guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. Peace.
Which of these sentences do y'all think was the craziest? Leave all y'all comments and stuff in the comment section down below. All that good stuff. And I'm out.